move on to our third and final speaker of the morning academic section. And that's Dr. Guozheng Wang, and he's speaking to us from the UK. And his topic is to analyze the mechanism of pain and the principle of acupuncture from a biological perspective. Now, Dr. Wang did his undergraduate work in the Southeast Medical University in 1977 in China, and he attained his master's degree in 1985. After that, he served as a deputy director of the digestive department in the affiliated hospital of Southeast Medical University in China. He studied and worked in Cambridge and in Oxford University, majoring in biomedicine, and later obtained a doctorate in molecular medicine at the University of Liverpool. He is currently a senior lecturer in the NHS and is engaged in critical care medicine research. He was introduced to Chinese medicine since his childhood, as well as his undergraduate study and practice, and he joined ATCM in 2007. So very pleased to introduce, but we'll have to work on the screens a little bit more at the moment, Dr. Wang from ATCM here in the UK. Thank you.
Can you see my screen? Oh.
I can see your paper, but not yourself.
Oh, doesn't matter. If you can see my screen, I start talking now, yeah. Oh my dear.
Is there any chance you might make it a bit larger, please?
Okay, I will do that.
Perfect, yes.
Oh, it's not working because it's always come like this.
Okay, we'll just have to listen very carefully to you then.
I'll try to stop it and do it again, yeah.
Okay.
Can you see it now?
That's a bit better. Thank you very, very much.
Okay, I'm sorry, yeah, because I use two screens. It's always put on one screen, yeah. Okay, I try to, as you introduced, I try to, from my own professional angle, that is biomedicine, to explore the potential mechanism of the pain and how the acupuncture can relieve the pain. Yeah, I personally, my background is three parts. One part is the Chinese medicine that I learned that from very young and university. The second part is Western medicine. Yeah, I was the gastroenterologist. Then I come to UK mainly do the biomedicine. So I've been in Cambridge and Oxford University. Finally, I've been in the University of Liverpool. But I still not forgot the Chinese medicine, particularly when the full acupuncture appears. I will really get much more interested in the acupuncture and their principles, the mechanisms. So today I'm going to do a little bit different. 我今天讲的可能和中医的理论各方面不一样。刚才听了2个讲座如果你们讲完了以后，你们想拍砖尽管拍Oh, how could I go next? Yeah. So today I do 6 questions. Number 1 is what is the pain? The second, how to sense the pain. Third, the type of the pain. Number 4 is the mechanism of chronic pain. Number 5 is the role of acupuncture in pain relief. Number 6 is the mechanism of acupuncture in treatment of mechanical pain, because the pain is too big, too large a field. And acupuncture is also a large field. They all do a lot of things. So the last one, I must concentrate on one aspect that I think is more familiar and more mature. So now I talk about the number one question: what is the pain? Pain actually is a defensive system to protect a human body. So any signals that's over the threshold or come to your brain, it is the pain. So any harmful factor will cause pain, like extreme temperatures, too cold, too hot, too bright, and also the metabolites, 代谢产物, 这些 chemicals, all potentially cause harmful to the body. This will cause pain. The last one is mechanical forces, but the mechanical forces is covered too much. Actually, this is neglected by most people and also the acupuncturists. So today we have talk a lot more about the mechanical forces and its cause the pain, like a pinch, stab the toes, muscle cramp, 抽筋. Also, all this, the nature is mechanical pain, 机械性的疼痛。那么 the pain, excessive pain always causes stress and disability and the reduction of the quality of life. And the chronic pain will make people more sensitive to the pain. So that's the big issue in the NHS or in any country is can't neglected. So to next question, how to sense the pain? So to sense the pain, need the peripheral receptors and the nerve conductions, and also your brain to know, recognize it is the pain. So it's a sensing and a perception. So that's the whole set of the things. From this picture, you can see much easily. So the first step is the sensors that produce signals, and the signal can be conducted by the nerves. And nerves send the signal to the brain, so the brain can perception the pain signals. Then brain give the response. So the red line is the how the pain being sensed, and the blue line is how brain give a signal to suppress the pain or modulate the pain. So that's nearly the whole process. Now I talk to the first step of pain sense, how the pain sensors works. So all the pain sensors have a special name. It's called nociceptors. The nociceptors are sensory receptors that are responsible for detecting harmful and noxious stimuli and transmitting the electrical signal to the nerve system. 所有的 pain sensor 用一句话说，它们就是 ion channels， 是细胞膜上的离子通道。细胞膜有成千上万的离子通道，那么有一部分它就是 pain sensors， 就是 为什么会有离子通道呢？这里here I use other people's diagram. So in the middle is the cell membrane. This side is outside the cells, is inside the cells. You can see this arrow cross this part. These are protein. That's the ion channels. So outside the cells is most of the sodium, is Na. Inside cell is most of the Jia和negative charges. So cross the membrane is a gradient of the ions. So normally, the ion channel is sealed, so no ion can allow to pass. Once the ion channel opens, so the ion can go to from one side to another side. So this is the measurement. 这是神经电生理方面的 measurement across the membrane. This is a probe. Probe is a very, very thin needles or glasses across the membrane. You can see the electrical cross the membrane. And once the ion channel opens, the cross membrane potentials will be diminished. Normally it's a minor 80. So once it diminishes, they can 2 over plus 40 millivolts. So this side is the membrane. You can see a lot of ion channels. Once they open, the ion cross, so produce electrical signals. These electric signals cross the nerves, then send the signals to the brain. So that's why we can feel pain, because any stimuli open the ion channels, then produce the signals so that can send it to your brain. The third question is a type of pain. So this is very messy. According to the causes, you can see acute pain and chronic pain, 急性的和慢性的疼痛。According to the person's feeling, you get sharp burning, sore, and all different descriptions. To the location, you can see head pain, neck pain, lower back pain. Now this is also important for clinically, but for the mechanism, it's not important. The mechanism, we divide the pain by mechanisms. So that's be nociceptive pain. So this is covered class. That's by extreme temperature, light, or strong signals, strong stimuli, 像强光啊、高温啊、低温啊，所有的这一切，那都是造成的pain，都归或者声音很强了，nociceptive pain. The number 2 is nociceptive inflammatory pain. Inflammatory pain 就是炎性的疼痛，那就是infection 感染 arthritis 关节炎，所有的 inflammatory 的 pain 都属于这一类。Number 3 is neuropathic pain， 就是神经性的疼痛。Due to the peripheral nerve, spinal cord, or brain injury at such. We will talk this later. The number 4 is the pressure, it's the pressure, tension, or cramp. Cramp 就是抽筋几乎其他绝大部分都是属于这种 mechanical pain. Now we take a little bit of time talking about the neuropathic pain. The neuropathic pain normally because of the injuries. So see any part of injury, spinal cord 脊髓 brain anywhere got damaged. You will always have the neural pains. The neural pains is a bigger family, but it's very difficult to treat. 三叉神经痛糖尿病的 neuropathy 造成的疼痛都属于这个 neuropathy pain. However, here we talk about a special neuropathic pain. This is called a complex regional pain syndrome. It's always persistent, always occurs in one limbs, single limbs, 或者一个地方，一个手一个脚一个腿一个 arm 然后这个样的呢，就是因为受伤以后 due to the damage of local damage, after damage, and the brain not recognize this part of body. So it's caused by the afferent 就是输入和输出神经的 mismatch. They complete sensory and motor information. So they are complete. And the brain always wanted to get rid of that part of the body. So you always have a pain. Not only have a pain, you can have the local problem because the neural nutrition not sufficient. So you can see the fingers colored and become very rough. So this type of pain, once you see a single limb pain, the majority time is because the CRPS syndrome. Now we stop the neuropathic pain. This is a very big field. I can't talk much deeper. Now we come to the main things relevant to acupuncture. It's the chronic pain. So chronic pain come from two types of things. One type is the peripheral stimulation. So you can nerve injury, muscle pain, or the mechanical compressive pain, and the inflammatory pain. So all beside the neuropathic pain and the inflammatory pain, majority, the middle two parts, muscle pain is all belong to the mechanical pains. Another part is the sensitivity of the nerves of your brain. So majority patients, once they got a chronic pain, they are very sensitive to the pain. 他们过度敏感。Some low stimuli, normal people not feel pain, they will feel pain. So when you think the pain issue, always think the peripheral and the central nervous system. It must be two combined. So 外周的和中枢的都要考虑。中枢的是它太敏感了，外周呢是刺激太强了，所以这个会或者刺激持续存在，所以造成这个慢性的疼痛。we come to the fourth question, the mechanism of mechanical pain. So, but neural pain, inflammatory pain, well, we don't have much data to cover it, and too much things, but not much relevant to the acupuncture. So the mechanical pain is very relevant to the acupuncture. So mechanical pain mainly is 牵拉和压迫是个机械性疼痛 tension pressure caused by contractile cells 可收缩性的细胞，所以这个是绝大部分。 induce most chronic pain is belong to this family. This is a recent report from cells. So they find a pressure sensor just reported, they call the ATCM. Whatever they look like, they always are ion channels on cell membrane. And always when it's open, this produce the electrical signals, then send to brain. This is an example for the pressure. If you use the hammer, hammer your fingers, you will feel pain. So what type of receptor this hammer's signal is the pressure sensor called the TACM. I don't need to remember that. There are many proteins that do this bit of sensory. So that's one type of a sensor. And another type of sensor is tension and stretch receptors. And those receptors 是这个像个弹簧，那么这gastrointestinal stomach muscles 这些胃肠道，这是最常见的。胃肠道对疼痛，你切割它不觉得疼痛，但是胀气、牵拉，它会感到很大的疼痛。因为在胃肠道大部分疼痛的 sensor is the tension sensor the tension sensor 你一拉它这个 ion channel 就张开了，一张开以后呢，那么就产生了疼痛的 signal. So this is called tension and stretch receptors. Not only in gastrointestinal, but also all over your body. You have a lot tension and stretch receptors. That's sense the signal and cause the chronic pain. So now we're talking about the contractile cells. 就是哪些可收缩细胞会造成这个 tension 和这个 pressure 压迫、挤压和压迫呢？The first thing is skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscles 就是我们的骨骼肌骨骼肌全身遍地都是，特别是现在的扶诊专门整理骨骼肌，所以这 skeletal muscles is the major part of the body mass that's caused the pain. So majority, probably when you meet 10 patients, you probably have 9 of them because of the muscle problem. This is the acupuncture more effective because it directly for majority of this type. If someone say I got the knee, the pain in the knee, 膝盖痛, but 9 of them probably because of muscle problem. Only 1 or less is because really joint pain, because that's called belong to the inflammatory receptor. That's difficult to treat, but the muscle pain is much easy to do. And the muscle tones, 的扶诊里叫换肌，这个 high tone muscles is called 换肌。We always know we got the skeletal muscles, so we can move, we can talk. But when you sleep, the muscle still working. Muscle never completely relax. 就是这个肌肉从来不会彻底的放松。Always a small portion of the muscle fibers that's contract. So that's make the tension, make your gesture. So that's the basic one. So the muscle tones is completed by the interaction between nervous system and the skeletal muscles. They become a circuit. Circuit 就是电子上的回路。它通过这个回路，让这个 muscle 一直 一部分收缩，一部分休息，一部分收缩，一部分休息，那么你这个 muscle 才有张力啊，你这个姿势才能维持。所以 don't think your body is fully relaxed. Never be like that. It's always working, but the working in certain levels. So these levels is the basic level. If the circuit going wrong, the signal becomes stronger and more frequent. So that's make more fibers contract and more frequently. So you will have a very hard and high tension muscles. So 这是傅中华创造的词叫换肌啊。Another type of cells is smooth muscle cells. Smooth muscle cells do a lot of functions. So not only in the 消化道 gastrointestinal stomach, but also all the body, the blood vessels is controlled by the small muscle. Your eyes, hearing, all the gland, even your hairs, all controlled by smooth muscle cells. This is to the whole mass, not like skeletal muscles, but to the function issue. The smooth muscle is more important than the skeletal muscles. But the smooth muscles not controlled by your brain. It's like an automatic pilot. So they control by themselves. They have the circuit and always contraction. All like the skeletal muscle, they make a basic frequency. So all your blood vessels never fully relax. It's always half contraction, half relax. Then the adjustment or the regulatory mechanism can work. Without this basic frequency and the 这些调控系统是不会工作的，所以它总有一个 basic 的节律，它一直在不断的收缩，不断的收缩。但是如果它收缩太过了像哮喘持续收缩，它就不好了。像胃肠道的痉挛，如果它平滑肌过度的持续的收缩那就会造成一些疾病。所以don't neglect this bit of things. These smooth skeletal muscles, smooth muscles is all easy to understand. The difficult to understand for the for people doing the clinical practice is the fibroblast or myofibroblasts. 这是一种细胞，叫纤维细胞或者肌性纤维细胞。这些细胞构成了什么呢？主要是我们的肌腱下面的皮下的结缔组织无处不在筋膜、肌腱都是这些个 fibroblast 和它们分泌的这纤维、胶原纤维弹性纤维都是属于这一类的东西This have caused a lot of attention in recent years. So people particularly when the dry needles, the trigger point, the concept introduced to the acupuncture. So see, normally this fibroblast or the tendons is just the regularly arranged, 就是它们排列非常整齐，平行排列。一旦它们once they contract, because the cold, injury, everything is not to parallels, they will contract. These also contractile cells. This underneath the skin also have a lot of fibroblasts. They can form the trigger point. See, all the trigger point in the body is mostly on the tendon side. So all the underneath the skin. So those fibroblasts, once in contract, they cramp together. Normally they relax, so you can't feel it. Once they contract, cramp together, so they become knots. These knots is by the people called the trigger points. See this more clear picture. See the normal, all the fibroblast and the collagens, 胶原纤维, they arranged in parallel, very regular. Once got a trigger point, cramp together, become a messy round. Once the messy round means they are contract and cramp together. So 它们收缩，然后聚集成一个point， 这样你的手就可以摸到了。所以这个叫这个 trigger point. Don't forget, this is a big family of contractile cells, very relevant to the acupuncture. Now we come to the number 5 and number 6. So I kind of separated these two topics. So I do them together. One is the rules of acupuncture in pain relief. Another is the mechanism of acupuncture in treatment of mechanical pain. So what type of rules are acupuncture in pain relief? So the first one is anti-anxiety, to reduce the stress and the sensitivity to the pain. 这就是我们说的中枢的敏感度啊。第二个是 reduce tension, reduce the mechanical pain. 这就是外周性的tension or pressure always come together. And another thing is reduce inflammatory induced pain. This I'm not talking about it because a lot of people think the acupuncture can reduce inflammation. I believe it works, but the mechanism is difficult to explain. So for the acupuncture, don't forget, beyond you treat the local part, you should treat the central part, reduce the stress, and lower the stress, increase threshold to the pain. So that means reduce the 减少它的敏感度这些个针灸如何做怎么做，大家都更熟悉一些。但是呢，讲起来机制就非常难讲了，所以这一部分我也不要讲了。那么我们主要讲 how acupuncture reduce mechanical, that means pressure, tension, pain. You can see we talk about different needles. The giant needles is American name. I don't like it because they are Western medicine. They think that they have a liquid in the needles or no liquid in needles. Giant needles, all the acupuncture needles, most of the no liquid. So it's still acupuncture. But the principle is called 原力针实际它就是把原力针换了个名字叫 giant needles 当你学过原力针的时候，你就不会再相信这个 giant needles。但是 giant needles create a new concept. The new concept is the trigger point. As we talk about the trigger point, this thing is a muscle gotten long. I think they're totally wrong. You can see by ultrasound, you can see the dots, and by hand you can feel it, but this is not the muscles. This is a fibroblast. Those fibroblasts clump together, then got the trigger point. So I think those people are not very professional. The name dry needle is not professional, and the explanation of the trigger point is not professional. But the trigger point concept is very important. It's not in the traditional Chinese acupuncture. That's one thing. So I forgot to something. Why the needles can and dry needles works to reduce the pain. Normally, the needles is quite compared to the cells is quite big. Once the needles pass through the trigger point, always cause a huge pain to the patients. Yeah. 这个 needle 呢，如果穿过这个trigger point 的时候，它会感到非常的疼痛。Why like this? Because this give a shock to those fibroblasts, then make the rhythm reset and make them relax. So once you accurately pass through the trigger point, the fibroblast will got a shock and relaxed. Once relaxed, so the trigger point disappeared. So that's why this works. The second point is compartment syndrome. The compartment syndrome is very too easy to understand. But the severe compartment syndrome need surgical treatments. I don't think most acupuncturists can solve it, but there's less severe compartment of pressure tension system. Like all the muscles outside is see this blue part is muscles, the muscle fibers. On the surface of the muscle fibers is the connective tissues. It's a fibroblast that form the collagen compartment. So those compartment syndrome, if we got a high pressure or tensions, they could trigger all the pressure receptors. So the needles pass through this, can release the pressure. So the pressure being released, so you can reduce the pain. The surgical procedure is also release the big contractment, the high pressure, so they can reduce the pain, also reduce the blood vessels entrapment. So that's let the circulation established, so the pressure eased. The needles cannot do that much, but for the minor things, it's not called blood vessel trapped. So you can use the needles to reduce the pressure. So that's easy to understand. So release the local tension pressure. You have a lot of things like needle knife, sword-like needles. This is particularly for the nerve entrapment syndrome, tunnel syndrome, piriformis syndrome, 梨状肌综合症, and adhesive tenosynovitis. This is 粘连性的腱鞘炎。这些东西是可以即时减压的，所以我们认为这些东西还是很有用的，虽然它有一定的危险性，要技术人员操作，所以但是如果诊断明确，减少这个压力以后，确实可以止痛，因为不光减少这个牵拉，也减少了这个压迫 trap 造成的这个 mechanical pain。Next big talk is FSN. FSN called subcutaneous needling. So that's the needles. So the people knows that that's the two things. One thing is sweeping movement underneath the skin, and also the reperfusion procedure. These are all created, the concept created by Fu Zhonghua. So we look at this picture, we can see where the needle goes. So on the skin, so the top of the skin is called epidermis, and the dermis, and the subcutaneous. So 傅中华叫subcutaneous 实际这个概念不准确，应该是epidermis epidermis because subcutaneous 是这个脂肪层实际上我们这个肤针呢进的是 dermis 这一层。in the dermis you can see a lot of dendritic cells, C fibers. 如果你把它扎深了，扎到 subcutaneous 这一层，扎到脂肪里去，我想作用效果要大大的减低。所以它这个 causes full subcutaneous needles 从这个解剖的角度上来看，它是不正确的应该是dermis 这一层 ，epidermis 是上皮这个角化层，然后 dermis 是这个上皮皮下这一层 ，subcutaneous 是这些下面的脂肪垫这一层那么的浮针效果是很好的，但是如何解释浮针，现在还没有一个定论。So the mechanism is not fully understanding. So, but from the subcutaneous needles, we can guess two things. Give a lot of hint for us to understand the mechanism of acupuncture. So the needles go to this layer. In this layer is a lot of dendritic cells. And C fibers is 神经末梢，还the connective tissues， 所以这是那些个纤维Why this acupuncture not go to the acupoint, as people think the meridians, but it's only go to underneath the skin. It's have a much better effect for pain relief. It's still not known. So from my point, we believe in this dermis layer, there are some potential receptors for the needles. So the needles must have a receptor. Why so many years in China, there are many researchers on acupuncture. They spend a lot of money and manpowers, but they never get a good result. 就是中国人研究针灸研究了好多年了，也投了不少钱，为什么总研究不出来一个道道出来？因为他们是被这个古籍都限制住，他们不会想一想，我这个 needles 不一定能 meridian 我这个 needle 它一定是有它的sensor从来就没有人去认真考虑我这个 needle 下去以后什么东西感受它So here we list potential sensors for the needles. So one is the dendritic cell network. Another is the C fibers and potentially connective tissue fibers and others. So this no evidence to see which one is the real sensor yet. But all the sensors will send generated signals and send to the autonerve system. And the autonerve system will control the skeletal muscles, all these skeletal muscles and smooth muscles. so then have the effect. So 最明显的一个副振作用就是能让这个肌张力立刻减低，在几秒钟之内。所以这必须是通过这个神经系统或者局部的反馈来造成的。So how release the high muscle tension? So we believe like this. Signal generation, that's by the sensors. And the signal chain to the nervous system. And the effect is the muscles or facials 是这些筋膜。这个让这个 muscle release， 那么这个 sensors 这些 sensors 就被没有 signal 了，那么这个 pain 就可以 release。那么再往下面深说一下这个不作数的就是我们在想这个 sensors 它必须是一个 network， 因为全身到处都可以做副振。如果是局部某一点特殊，它不是一个，不可能靠我们这个 sensor。So the dendritic cells is immune cells， 但是 dendritic cells 呢是一个非常特殊的细胞，它是除了神经有 dendritic 就是有树突的这些个细胞，神经细胞是一类那么这个 dendritic cells 也是另一类，长着很多很多树突的，像树根一样的这种细胞这个是 A， 这个是一个示意图。这个 B 呢是用显微镜扫描过来横切面，你看它有这个细胞中心周边有很多很多的腿，这个腿叫 dendritic 就树突像树一样的树根的树突。This is a scanning microscope number C。你可以看它外边张牙舞爪的，长了很多很多的突触。The rest is the staining. So this is in the tissues. So in the tissues, this is lymphocyte， 因为它是个免疫细胞，所以 lymphocyte 它会形成互相连接成网络。这个只是个 theory。所以通过这个 dendritic network possible needle sensor， 如果我们假设它是个 needle sensor， 那么可以解释一下这个针灸得气and FN sensors。 如果这个针下来在扭转的时候，把这个细胞这些出土都扭在针上的话，你就会得气，并且产生个电 signal， 通过这个 network， 然后 send it to 这个 other place。So this is my theory, but I never confirmed. 这只是一个理论，从来没有人证实过。show another two pictures. See the dendritic network in kidney. The green one is dendritic cells. See if the people use a scanning microscope, you can see this 是细胞核和它这些树突所以互相连接缠绕。如果你这个针进到这里的话，就很快就缠了。这个不是那个缠针，是因为那 muscle fiber 上去了这个正常的 needle。那么如果 sense 的 needle signal 呢，都会用这个用这些个细胞的树突来做。那个生物学的 signal 呢，都是这个电信号，生物电信号。所以你破坏它、牵拉它，都会有一个感受器产生这个电信号，这个 electrical pulse。And the electrical pulse 可以通过一种 network 传递，然后再耦合到这些神经。这里这个绿颜色是 dendritic cells， 红颜色是神经纤维。这个是从别人那找到的，这证明可能它们之间有耦合coupling to the nervous system， 这样才能把 nervous 的 signal 送到 nervous system。But by the end, it's a nervous system. So overall, the acupuncture, why it's effective? Because it's directly affect autonomic nervous system, not others. The autonomic system is also in 中医 called 气的来源，气实际是一个植物神经性的活动才是你的气，而不是真的那种气功那个气。那么 coupling needle sensor and autonomic system， 这是这种 theory。这 theory 呢叫 ion channel open to induce action potential。action potential activity 的 coupled nerve ending。coupled 就是耦合在一起。Experimentally, we need to determine coupling this and functionally transmit the signal。希望有人把这部分能做出来那么傅中华也有他的解释this is called 气学学说气 blood theory。 The 气 blood theory I think that there's some evidence and easy to explain something. So no doubt acupuncture could adjust the autonomic nerve system. That's called the qi. And the neural activity is the qi. So where to find the qi is the autonomic system. That's their activity. The neural activity control the activity of organs, tissues, and their blood supply. So the general idea is control the smooth muscles, and the smooth muscles control the blood supply. So the needles can adjust this smooth muscles tension and directly affect the blood supply to the tissues. So 这就是他的气血学说I think it is right. 我们再来看看解释傅真的另一个学说16气血学说，再多说两句this the photo shows all the blood vessels. That's 傅中华 idea. So the blood vessels go to the skin, is pass through the skeletal muscles. So this, if the skeletal muscles have a high tension, they will trap the blood vessels, so reduce the blood supply. So that's the give the exercise called reperfusion. 再关注就是让这个缺血的地方再关注。The muscle with high tension restrain blood supply and retain metabolites， 就是一些代谢产物不能排掉，所以造成喷。如果 muscle relaxation and reperfusion increase the blood, take away the metabolites， 那么这样的话呢，就可以减少疼痛了这是他的理论。还有最近这是最近徐文博吴继东还有徐平，然后 publish a paper called the immunohypothesis of subcutaneous needle acupuncture， 是在这个 Journal Acupuncture and Meridian Study。他徐文博提出了一个蜘蛛网的学说，就是 immune 学说。我很支持他这个 immune 学说，可能对一些炎症其他的慢性病可能会有效果。但是他的理论来源呢是说，这个 connective tissues similar to cobweb 蜘蛛网，你傅真一拨这蜘蛛网呢，就可以诱导这个蜘蛛过来把这个有病的东西吃掉这是一个很淳朴的一个想法。但是呢，对于这个傅真影响这个 immune system我是比较认可的。那么我看一下这个另外一种 alternative explanation， 就是另外一种解释， 就是 muscle tension stretching pain receptor 这 prayer tension 可以 stretch the pain receptor, so cause the pain. Then the basal frequency of muscle fiber contraction. 刚才讲了这些回路，让这个 muscle 一直在收缩，是基础情况的收缩，是 random 的。So that's determine the muscle tension. 如果这个信号太平了，像我这个 A 这边好像还好，像 D 后边这边这个频率就太高了如果这基础频率太高了这个 muscle 的 tension 就会很大，出现这种换季的情况。这个浮针呢 reset 的 frequency， 我认为它这个通过感受器，通过这个 autonomic system， 还有它这个 reperfusion， 就是再灌注，最根本的问题，我认为是 reduce 的 reset 的这些 frequency of the basic frequency of muscle tension。所以这样呢，这个 frequency 到正常的情况下，就不再刺激那些prayer tension sensor， 那些 sensor 不再刺激了那么就缓解了这个 tension， 就 reduce 这个 pain。好，基本上就讲这么多。下面我来做一个 summary， 就是这个 summary 呢还是要强调这个 pain 肯定造成 stress anxiety， 但 sensitivity changes. So one attention must pay on the 中枢系统这个病人的精神状况要改善一旦他这个 sensitivity 降低了 pain 就会好了很多所以一定是 combination。 那么对这个 pain 呢，按照 mechanism 来分呢，一般是 nociceptive pain 像高温低温low temperature high temperature 强光这些个刺激的，如果你必须 eliminate 这些 causes， 因为不管你怎么样，再强的任何强的刺激都是 causes， 这个反倒相对简单。 inflammatory pain 那就要 reduce inflammatory怎么样 induce 这里就不再讲了大家应该有自己的办法那 neuropathic pain 就是神经性的疼痛神经性疼痛有时是神经卡压，但也属于这个机械方面。那如果神经损伤的疼痛neural injury 造成疼痛还是比较复杂的所以这一部分呢并不好治疗，最好治疗的就是 prayer tension pain。 So most chronic pain都 belong to the prayer tension 这一类。所以我们为什么针灸这么有效，又是最佳的选择办法？那么针灸是最对这些个 prayer tension pain 在最多的这一类 pain， 最多这类也是慢性的疼痛是最有效果的。所以如果我们做个 combination， 一方面控制这个中枢这个 stress anxiety， 另外 reduce 外周这些个 prayer tension pain， 那么我们会取得很好的治疗效果That's all for today. It's totally different from the theory of the meriting all this. So if you have a different opinion, we can discuss. Thank you.